Exercise Arctic Challenge sees the UK working alongside her allies in what's known as the High North. It happens every 2 years, but last time Russia had not attacked a European nation and the world was a very different place.
We are exercising both defensive to defend from attack, but our main focus is to do offensive counter-air, to be able to strike through an enemy's own air defense and target vital targets, to take them out, to make it impossible for the aggressor to attack us.
I think we all have to and all feel the pressure to develop our capabilities further, you know, in this situation and in this environment that we are facing. We're taking really good steps in that direction, and this is one big step for us.
14 nations are taking part, including the US, Canada, Germany, Belgium, Italy, the Netherlands and the Czech Republic. It's hosted by air bases in Finland, Sweden and Norway and involves 3,000 troops and 150 aircraft, making it one of the biggest air exercises in Europe. Nowhere else on the continent can you find airspace this size unhampered by civilian planes. Each afternoon, around 100 aircraft simultaneously take to the Nordic skies. The British are based out of Luleå, Sweden, with 11 fighter squadron over from RAF Coningsby, some days playing the Allies, some days the enemy. And 2 hours north of Luleå, the threat emitter team from RAF Spade Adam in Cumbria sits with Soviet ground-to-air missile systems.
So you've got the guys playing the enemy on the ground and you've got guys flying around creating the red air, the enemy in the skies. But how do you make it feel even more like you're fighting a realistic enemy? Let me introduce you to the Falcon 20.
Flown by civilians but paid for by the RAF, the Falcon 20 not only jams communications and radar of the good Blue Force, it can also be a kind of chameleon. It can pretend to be a whole host of different aircraft that the enemy might have within their arsenal, all in a single plane.
Steve, hello.
Hello and welcome on board this Draken-operated Falcon 20. So as we move down towards the back, you'll notice only a couple of extra seats, but a couple of additional fuel tanks at the rear of the aircraft that allows us to maintain on task longer. And at the very back you can just see the workings of our comm jam. Here we have the EWO console where our electronic weapons officers sit and control the pods. The benefit with the Falcon 20 is there's hard points under the wing and we can fit a variety of different pods depending on what tasking we're going to do.
The pods jam the radar both of fighter jets and ground-based weapon systems, whereas the kit at the back of the plane jams the Allies' communications. The pods are also what allow the plane to do the great chameleon trick, known as threat simulation.
We can send out a certain signal from that pod that when received by an aircraft we're providing training to, will use their defensive aid suite and translate that into a threat. So we can pretend to be different aircraft or different enemy aircraft, depending on which signal we send out.
Making its debut appearance fully deployed on Exercise Arctic Challenge, the Voyager, the UK's international fueling station. It's here to refuel Finnish F-18s, German Typhoons, our Typhoons, French Mirages, and, for the first time, the Swedish Gripen, the aircraft the Swedes have said they'll train Ukrainian pilots on, although they've yet to commit to gifting any actual aircraft.
It can be a little bit different depending on where the probe is. So on the Gripen, the probe is like actually behind the canopy. So for them, it's a lot harder because normally they can see the probe and they can plug it in. But with the Gripen, it's actually behind them. So they have to sort of just follow the procedure and fly in, just using references and just hope that it works as planned, which it has been.
SRF 5 for request contact flight path.
Go Sir 5, clear contact right.
We can refuel anyone anywhere really, it just depends on the task and whatever's required at the time. We're Blue Air today, so we're on the good side, so we're flipping from red to Blue Air each day. So we're just on the outside of the exercise area in the south today, and then when we're Red Air, we're in the north of the airspace.
The airspace here is about twice the size of that we have in the UK. It's also overland. Most of the training we do in the UK is over the sea, so that offers a different element for us to train for in our tactics working with the other nations. The enemy has the opportunity to hide in the valleys and that just brings a different element to our training that we don't normally get in the UK.
The Swedish pride themselves on being masters of dispersed operations. In other words, operating from unfamiliar bases for short periods with fewer people travelling with less kit. And that's something the UK are trying to do too.
All of the engineering is on my head, I suppose.
Squadron leader Fenella Allery is the senior engineering officer for 11 Squadron.
So this exercise is part of the 11 Group vision for agile combat employment, whereas in the past Typhoons travelled with a significant amount more spares and equipment than what we've brought with us. We have just brought sort of the minimum amount of tooling. We have a handful of spares and a very small amount of GSE, so the footprint of this whole deployed exercise has been really, really small, just to try and improve that concept of ACE and Typhoon's agility and ability to deploy anywhere around the globe.
This is just another example of how we can pick up at short notice and move to a different part of the world. For many of us, never been anywhere near Sweden before. And we can put the jets on the ground, operate with them and put them back in the skies again.
The British contribution to the exercise is necessary for all the pieces of the puzzles to come together for a complex operation.
They bring a lot of things that's important. They have Britain. They have a lot of experience for operations abroad that we don't have in Sweden, especially. We really welcome Britain in this exercise. We have been planning for 2 years, so I'm really happy, in a happy mood for the moment.
As the exercise draws to a close, the nations prepare to return home, now ready to work together in the skies above Europe should the need arise. Hannah King, Forces News in Sweden.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.